Imagine the frustration of essential services grinding to a halt while politicians bicker. That's the harsh reality of the ongoing government shutdown. And today, the Senate's negotiations are hanging by a thread, leaving millions in limbo. Stick around as we dive into the latest developments that could finally break this deadlock or drag it out even longer. 11:09 a.m. House Speaker Mike Johnson expresses growing doubts about resolving the shutdown anytime soon. Fresh from his morning press briefing, Speaker Johnson shared with journalists that the House stands ready to rush back into session in Washington if the Senate can hammer out an agreement to keep government funding flowing. However, he's sounding a more cautious note today, admitting he's feeling less hopeful than before about wrapping things up quickly. For those new to how Congress works, a government shutdown happens when lawmakers can't agree on a budget, forcing non-essential operations to pause and furloughing workers. It's a big deal that affects everything from national parks to federal paychecks. We could assemble everyone swiftly, Johnson explained. If they manage to approve something today, we could hold that crucial vote well before the weekend wraps up. No question. Keep in mind, the House already greenlit a continuing resolution back on November 21st. This is basically a temporary funding bill that acts like a stopgap to avoid shutdowns by extending current spending levels without diving into the full budget debate. But the version floating around in the Senate tweaks the extension date, meaning it'd need the House to sign off again before heading to the president for his okay. Johnson's pessimism stems from what he sees as shifting dynamics. I'm feeling less positive this morning compared to yesterday. We had reports of reasonable, middle-of-the-road Democrats chatting with Republicans, but it seems Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has reined them in, directing them to steer clear. That's deeply frustrating. And every everyday American facing canceled flights, skipped paychecks, or struggling to cover car payments because of this mess, they should know Senate Democrats bear direct responsibility here. He wrapped up by emphasizing urgency. We're all set to get the government running again. We're pleading with them to make it happen. But here's where it gets controversial. Is it fair to pin the blame solely on one side? Or are both parties playing a high-stakes game of chicken? We'll explore that more as talks unfold. 10:55 a.m. Speaker Johnson dodges promise on House vote for health care subsidies. During his regular media session, House Speaker Mike Johnson made it clear he won't pledge to schedule a House vote on prolonging key healthcare tax credits. He pointed out that the House has already fulfilled its duties on this front. To break it down for beginners, these tax credits, part of the Affordable Care Act, ACA, help lower-income folks afford health insurance premiums, making coverage more accessible. Without them, millions could face steeper costs or lose out entirely. When pressed by a journalist, can you guarantee that House Democrats will get their shot at voting on those ACA subsidies by a specific deadline? Johnson was straightforward. No, because we've already done what was needed, and I'm not in the driver's seat for these negotiations. The House stepped up on September 19th. I'm not making any guarantees to anyone. Let's let the process unfold naturally. This stance has ruffled feathers among Senate Democrats, who argue that without the House's buy-in, any Senate vote on extending these credits feels like an empty gesture. For instance, Senator Bernie Sanders highlighted on Wednesday that true progress requires assurance from Republican leaders that they're truly supportive. Johnson pushed back on secretive deal-making, saying, "I'm steering clear of those closed-door huddles with the four top leaders crafting something behind the scenes and then dropping it on the public." That's the outdated approach, and it's why so many folks have lost faith in Congress. We need transparency, openness, handling this through proper channels, looping in every caucus and member for real input. And this is the part most people miss. While transparency sounds great, does it slow down urgent fixes during a crisis like a shutdown? It's a tough balance that sparks endless debate. 10:43 a.m. Senator John Thune hints Senate might extend sessions into the weekend if progress emerges as he stepped away from the Senate floor. Majority Leader John Thune indicated that the chamber could keep working right through the weekend, if there's any glimmer of a breakthrough on funding talks. That really hinges on how things develop, Thune noted. If we spot a clear route to a vote, be it today, tomorrow, or even Saturday, we'll stick around and get it done. Everything's in play right now. The emerging deal framework links reopening the government to passing 3 key appropriations bills. These are the spending measures that fund specific government areas, like defense or education, paired with a future commitment to vote on those healthcare tax credits Democrats are pushing for. Republicans are banking on enough Democrats crossing the aisle to break the impasse. Think of it as a bipartisan olive branch amid the tension. Thune stressed he can't promise Democrats a win on the credits, but can ensure a fair process. The straightforward way ahead on the ACA front is this. They get their vote, we restart government operations, then head to the White House for a sit-down with the president to hash it out. This whole hostage situation with the shutdown has to end. It's hurting real people. On whether Democrats might join forces, Thune was optimistic yet realistic. I believe there are Democrats ready to step up and do what's right, even if they're catching heavy flack from their progressive wing. There's a faction, in my opinion, genuinely eager to resolve this and move on. We'll find out if they can carry the day. Hopefully clarity comes as the hours tick by. 10:30 a.m. Thune, Republicans pausing for Democrats. Feedback on shutdown proposal. En route to the Senate floor, Majority Leader John Thune revealed that GOP members are holding off until they hear back from Democrats on the current offer to end the shutdown, which will dictate if sessions stretch into the weekend. Step 1 is getting it all boils down to whether we can wrap this up over the weekend. The ball's in their court now. Regarding the Senate's upcoming recess next week, Thune kept options open. Nothing's off the table as far as I'm concerned. In his floor remarks, Thune repeated the GOP's openness to voting on the Democratic health care credits plan. We're simply awaiting for Democrats to accept the offer staring them in the face. 9:50 a.m. Breaking down today's Senate agenda amid the shutdown drama. No vote is lined up right now in the Senate on the House's bill to restart government operations. The session kicks off at 10 a.m., featuring a vote on a Democrat-sponsored resolution on war powers. For context, this aims to limit presidential military actions, specifically targeting potential U.S. strikes on Venezuela over issues like drug trafficking boats. You can read more on that story here. https:// Senate War Powers Vote, Venezuela Drug Boats Military Strikes. According to Majority Whip John Barrasso's team, additional votes could pop up later today. 9:07 a.m. Good news for SNAP users. Up to 65% of November benefits now available, per USDA update. Folks relying on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, that's the federal food stamps initiative helping low-income families put meals on the table, will get a bigger slice of their November payments than first anticipated, according to a U.S. Department of Agriculture spokesperson speaking late Wednesday, Patrick Penn, who leads USDA's food and nutrition efforts, including SNAP, detailed in a legal filing that benefit maximums will drop by just 35% this month, rather than the 50% cut states were told to prepare for earlier. This means eligible recipients could pocket up to 65% of their usual aid, a relief for families already stretched thin during the shutdown, when many federal employees and contractors are unpaid. For example, a household expecting $500 might now receive $325 instead of $250, making a real difference at the grocery store. Dive deeper into the details here. https://www.cbsnews.com/news/SNAP food stamps November 65% Trump administration. 9:05 a.m. Nancy Pelosi drops bombshell, no re-election bid, retiring after current term, in a move that's sending ripples through political circles. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the powerhouse Democrat who shaped Congress and her party for over 4 decades, revealed Thursday she'll bow out of seeking another term and leave Congress when her current one wraps in early 2027. At 85, Pelosi's career has been legendary, From smashing glass ceilings as the first female speaker to steering major legislation like the ACA. She shared the news via a heartfelt video message framed as a letter to her San Francisco constituents, where she served since her 1987 election win. In the almost 6-minute clip, Pelosi states, "I won't be running for Congress again. With deep gratitude, I'm excited for my last year serving as your dedicated voice." Looking ahead, she rallied her community. "To the city I cherish, embrace your influence. We forged history, driven change, blazed trails. And we can't stop now. Stay active in our democracy, championing by Robert Costa and Nicole Killian. Updated 8:54 a.m. Post-election divide. Senate Democrats divided on shutdown strategy after big wins. Buoyed by strong showings in Tuesday's key races, Senate Democrats seemed more resolute in their shutdown stance on Wednesday. Yet, the party isn't united. Progressives are pushing hard against yielding on healthcare priorities, while moderates quietly explore exit ramps from the crisis. This tension surfaced as a potential compromise took shape earlier this week. Funding the government short-term via appropriations bills, long-range spending plans for various sectors, in return for a guaranteed vote on those vital ACA tax credits Democrats insist upon. It's a classic Washington trade-off, but one that tests party loyalty. Vermont's independent Senator Bernie Sanders, aligning with Democrats, warned reporters Wednesday that any vote on the credits demands GOP backing for actual extension. "If we fold now for a hollow vote, it's a disastrous policy choice and a political gut punch for Democrats. Imagine the backlash from voters expecting us to fight for affordable care." Cross-party discussions on this potential resolution pressed on Wednesday. Involved Democrats kept mum on specifics or election fallout, only confirming talks persist. Meanwhile, South Dakota Republican Senator Mike Rounds, part of the group, expressed optimism to the press about nearing an end, noting fresh chats and quipping that Democrats might need time to savor their victories before teaming up to reopen things. Updated 8:54 a.m. Check out the 40 airports potentially facing FAA-mandated flight reductions. The Federal Aviation Administration's strategy to curb airline operations amid the shutdown could disrupt travel at some of America's top hubs, like those in Atlanta, Dallas, New York City, and Los Angeles. A list shared exclusively with CBS News by an insider close to the planning. This roster covers bustling passenger spots in big cities and airline bases, plus key cargo facilities in places like Louisville, Kentucky, Memphis, Tennessee, Anchorage, Alaska, Ontario, California, and Teterboro, New York, a go-to for private jets and private aviation. Keep in mind, this is a draft. Final tweaks could happen, as the FAA hasn't locked in or announced cuts yet. With holiday travel ramping up, these changes could mean more delays or cancellations, hitting families and businesses hard. See the complete rundown here. https://www.cbsnews.com/news list 40 airports FAA flight cancellations, capacity cuts, government shutdown proposed. Updated 8:54 a.m. FAA's flight capacity reductions set for gradual rollout, insiders report. Airlines are in overdrive adjusting schedules after the FAA's announcement of a 10% cut to air travel in 40 major markets, all due to the shutdown's strain on resources. Sources tracking a recent airline FAA DOT conference call say the reductions will roll out incrementally from Friday onward. Though no formal directive has landed, carriers anticipate trimming at least 4% Friday, 5% Saturday, and reaching full 10% by next week, subject to change with the official word. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy justified the moves Wednesday, explaining they're vital to ease the burden on unpaid air traffic controllers who've been on the job since the shutdown kicked off last month. Delays have plagued airports as some controllers call in sick or step back. Industry insiders report uncertainty over implementation details, like linking cuts to actual staffing shortages. This comes at a tricky time. Veterans Day travel spikes next week, plus possible Midwest weather woes this weekend could compound chaos. The DOT hasn't commented yet. As we wrap up these updates, let's get real about the controversy. Is the shutdown a necessary stand for fiscal responsibility, or just reckless posturing that punishes ordinary folks? And with Pelosi's exit, does it signal a shift in Democratic strategy or deeper party fractures? What do you think? Should leaders prioritize bipartisanship over ideology? Drop your takes in the comments. I'd love to hear if you're team compromise or holding firm.